The last type of budgeting behavior I want to cover, I just call the budgeter. Now, this is the person who is engaging in all of those types of budgeting behaviors, which, you really should, to take yourself on to, building wealth and financial success. So we talked about what those behaviors were earlier, but what are the implications of this type of behavior? Well, as you can imagine, this is the budgeter type of behavior is what is going to help catapult you into wealth building and financial success, financial independence, those kind of things that we think about. Maybe we don't put very clear definitions to all the time, but that's where we're trying to go. But why? One very interesting thing is when you're doing budgeter type behaviors, it almost naturally curbs overspending. And there's a couple reasons behind this. Number one, when you're tracking your expenses, you're seeing where is my money going. And you notice very quickly, holy cow, I'm spending way too much money in this certain category. The other part of it is when you sit down and make a plan, it makes you think about your dreams. What do you want to accomplish financially? And then the combination of that plan, which you then break out into budget categories, and the tracking of expenses allows you to see, am I spending my money in a way that aligns with my financial goals? And if you're budgeting and tracking expenses regularly, you have a record of whether or not you're doing that. So it's not a guarantee, but it almost naturally, without really trying, tends to curb overspending. So that's budgeter behavior. It's really simple. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out why this type of behavior tends to lead to financial success. But I want to close with a certain statistic. And this statistic in various forms, it gets thrown around a lot. It's often cited to talk about the wealth disparity in the United States. And there is wealth disparity in the United States, for sure. This statistic, which I'll read just so I get it right, is according to the Pew Research Center. From 2007 to 2016, the net worth of the richest 20% of people in the United States increased by 13% to just over $1 million. So the richest 20% of people in the U.S., they saw their wealth increase. Their net worth, I want to specifically say that, the net worth increased by 13% from the years of 2007 to 2016. During that same time frame, the middle 60% of people saw their wealth decrease by 39%. Okay? Now, this statistic is often used to talk about how the U.S. economy or the capitalist system or things like this are failing and all this kind of stuff. But the reality of the situation is the 60% of people in the middle and the poorest 20% of people aren't focused on wealth building. It's not something that's been ingrained into those people. We've been taught to keep up with the Joneses, to have the nice house, the nice car. And the cost of having all of those things is that we have no money left over to put towards building wealth. The richest 20% of people got to that point because they are focused on wealth building. They're focused on their net worth and making that increase. So what do? They spend less than they make, and they strategically set money aside to invest in their retirement, in real estate, in things like that are going to grow their money. But the middle 60%, it's not because they're struggling to make ends meet. Despite the middle 60% of people, many of them feel that way. But if you look at their budget, they're not struggling to make ends meet. They're just spending all their money. And then you feel like you're struggling to make ends meet. And I know this. I'm not picking on anybody. I know this because I've been there. I felt like I was struggling to make ends meet. And then I sat down and did my budget one time, and I realized we were wasting thousands of dollars a month on things we did not need. And we're really not improving our lives whatsoever. So if we can shift that middle 60% of people to focus on wealth building and make that the goal and start engaging in some of these budgeter type behaviors, then they can push up into that 20% as well and start to see their net worths increasing and their overall wealth increasing.